This is another session of now dealing with mixed strategy. Remember we said in a strategy there are two strategies. You can employ pure strategy, whereby it is a single strategy formulation, and this strategy make use of, for you to determine the value of the game, you make use of subtle point. Now the next form of strategy is the mixed strategy. Under mixed strategy, what really do we mean by mixed strategy? A type of strategy which does not require the determination of subtle point. So here the use of subtle point becomes no-go zone. The maximum and the minimax principle cannot be applied here to solve the problem. So we can use the maximum and the minimax principle to solve this critical problem under the game. The choice among a number of strategies is not a decision of the player, but by some chance mechanism. So the decision is undertaken by a particular chance mechanism. And one of the chance mechanism that we are talking about is the predetermination by probability. So we make use of probability. We project. We use probability to give the solution. Now, types or the methods to be used in the determination of mixed strategy. Number one is the probability method. Number two is the graphical method. And number three is the linear programming method. Let's look at the probability method. This method is applied when there is no subtle point and the payoff matrix have two rows and two columns only. So this is the condition that you must abide by when you are making use of probability method. Number one, there is no subtle point from the payoff matrix. And then number two, that's something that must now ring in your mind. Keep it at the fingertip of your fingers, is that there are only two rows and two columns. So the payoff matrix must have only two rows and two columns. The player may adopt mixed strategy with certain probability. So the adoption of this strategy is because of the use of probability. Now the payoff matrix, how the payoff matrix looks like. So we have player A, who is now the maximizing player, and player B, who is now the minimizing player. Let B be the probability for A using strategy A1, and 1 minus P be the probability for A using A2. Then we have an equation. So this becomes now an equation. Expected gain of A if B chooses B1, AP plus C, open the bracket, 1 minus P, you close the bracket. And if B chooses B2, we have BP plus D, open the bracket, 1 minus P, you close the bracket. Therefore, AP plus C, open the bracket, 1 minus P, close the bracket, is equivalent to B, P plus D, open the bracket, 1 minus P, you close the bracket. Solving the equation for B, we get D minus C divided by A plus D, you close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, 1 minus C, you close the bracket. So this becomes the solution that you get when you make B the subject. when you make P the subject. Similarly, let Q and 1 minus Q be respectively probability for P using strategy P1 and P2, B1 and B2. Then A Q plus B, you open the bracket, 1 minus Q, you close the bracket, equals to CQ plus D, you open the bracket, 1 minus Q, you close the bracket, whereby Q is equals to D minus B, divide by, open the bracket, A plus D, you close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, B plus C, you close the bracket. So what is the expected value of the game? So how do you get the expected value of the game? So for you to get the expected value of the game, this becomes the equation. APQ plus BP, open the bracket, 1 minus Q, you close the bracket, plus CQ, close the bracket, 1 minus P, you close the bracket, plus D, open the bracket, 1 minus P, you close the bracket, open the bracket, 1 minus Q, you close the bracket. Then you substitute the value of P and Q and simplify your equation. So what you get as V, the value of the game will be AD minus BC, you close the bracket, divide by, open the bracket, A plus D, close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, B plus C, close the bracket. Therefore, the solution for strategy A are P, open the bracket, P, you comma, 1 minus P, close the bracket. And strategy B are Q, you open the bracket, Q, 1 minus Q, close the bracket. So this becomes the solution for the probability. So when you're working with the probability, this becomes the solution. B, for you to get P, you say D minus C, close the bracket, divide by A plus D, close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, B plus C, close the bracket. For Q, the value for Q, open the bracket, D minus P, D minus B, close the bracket, divide by, open the bracket, A plus D, close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, B plus C, close the bracket. And then the value of the game can be determined by the following equation. A, open the bracket, AD minus BC, close the bracket, divide by, open the bracket, A plus D, close the bracket, A minus, open the bracket, B plus C, close the bracket. So these are the solutions that you get from the probability application method. So for us to do that, let's get a problem. So this is a problem that you have been given and you are supposed to determine, number one, the value of each and every player. Number two, the value of the game. How do we go about? So number one, we know that to get the values for each and every game, so determine, so the question requires you to determine the value of P, Q, and V. In other words, the value of the game. So we start with the first one, P. P equals to, from the formula, you open the bracket, you say D minus C, you close the bracket, divide by, you open the bracket, A plus D, you close the bracket, minus, you open the bracket, B plus C, you close the bracket. So from the question, you bring in the perspective of the formula. So here we can say here is A, here is B, here is C, and here is D. From that perspective, so if you create that perspective, then we know to get the value of P, we just apply we do the substitution, we just substitute. So D is what? D is negative 3. We open the bracket, negative 3 plus, no, minus, supposed to be minus, minus C. C is 2. You close the bracket, then you divide by A, open the bracket, A is negative 2 plus D, which is negative 3, negative 3, you close the bracket, minus, open the bracket, B is negative 1 plus C is 2, you close the bracket. So can we do the substitution here? We simplify the equation. Negative 2 minus 2, you get negative 5, divide by negative 2 in bracket, negative 2 plus negative 3, that is negative 5, in bracket, minus, you open the bracket, negative 1 plus 2, you get negative, you get 2, you get 1, you close the bracket. We are still simplifying the equation. So what do you get? You get negative 5 divide by negative 5 divide by negative 5 minus negative 5 minus 1. What do you get? Negative 5 minus 1. So negative 5 minus 1, you get negative 6. You get negative 6. So simplify. So P equals to 5 over 6. 5 over 6. P, we already have the solution. To be continued. Follow me for the next presentation of the solution. Thank you.